Hey guys, we're doing something a little bit different today. This is going to be an all me talking video. If you're here looking for the TT rerun reaction, that should be the next video on the Twice-tober 2021 playlist. Feel free to click on through to that. For anyone else who wants to stick around, I've got a couple of old business items first and then a bit of a rant to get off my chest. So look forward to that. First up, we have a very quick show and tell. I just got this in the mail and I'm still pretty excited about it, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. This is a broadcast card from Cheer Up Promotions. Got member messages on the back, per usual. So you would have gotten this if you went to any of the music show tapings or I assume other promotional events during the Cheer Up period. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. The chances of me ever making it to a music show taping are slim to none, so I figured I would live vicariously through this piece of cardboard, and now you can live vicariously through this video of this piece of cardboard. So works out well for all of us. Next up, if you saw either of my recent Itzy reactions, Loco or Swipe, I made a point there of mentioning the 3 title tracks of theirs that were done by JYP versus the 3 that were done by the production group Galactica. And then in the feels, I publicly confessed that I had failed to do my homework ahead of time and did not know who had written or produced it. Luckily, we got to the end, and in the credits scene, there was a whole bunch of collabs done, written all over the place, which I did catch on to, so kind of saved by the bell there. Despite all of that, I totally failed to do my homework ahead of time for both Like Ooh Ah and Cheer Up. So I made sure to put in the hard work and do a couple of quick Wikipedia searches before doing my TT reaction. And I kind of lucked out there too, because all 3 of Twice's first title tracks, Like Ooh Ah, Cheer Up, and TT, were done by the same people. The primary writing and producing credit goes to a producer duo known as Black Eyed Pilsung, and they collaborated on these 3 tracks with someone named Sam Lewis. So I'm not going to get into a whole life and times of Black Eyed Pilsung here and now, but there are some highlights that I think are interesting and are important. We're going to try and run through them real quick. Aside from those first 3 Twice title tracks, we're going to run into these guys again when we get to Likey and Fancy. Although not with Sam Lewis, they were working with a different co-contributor for those 2 tracks. If those 5 Twice tracks weren't enough for you, we've also got some of these greatest hits. Obviously, one that jumped out at me right away was Sistar's Touch My Body. In 2016, Sistar was the first K-pop group that I got into enough to buy physical albums from them. So, as if Wild Edge Twice, being as Itzy as Twice is going to be, wasn't enough for me singing Like Ooh Ah, they're also doing a track by a Sistar collaborator. So, it's like a perfect storm. If anything was going to get me into Twice, that's about as good a shot as you're going to get. So that's kind of interesting. Additionally, before the 2 members partnered up to form Black Eyed Pilsung, they each worked individually with a producer named Shinsetong Tiger, and those 2 pairings were responsible for these hits, among others. Obviously, some of those jump out right away. Volume Up, Roly Poly, Bubble Pop. In the last couple of years, they've formed their own entertainment company, and they've so far debuted a boy duo and a girl group as well, Stacy. And since then, they've been doing most of their writing and producing for their own groups. Now, Stacy, I have heard of, but I have not, to my knowledge, seen or heard any of their work. Obviously, the whole point of this is if I like what they've done with Twice, and I like what they've done with 4 Minute / Hyuna, and I like what they did with Sistar, then obviously I should check out Stacy. And A-Pink as well. I know of A-Pink, but I don't know hardly anything about A-Pink. So, know your producers. It's important. There's K-pop gold out there that all of us may have been sleeping on individually, different groups or whatever. And if we find someone who does stuff we like, we should check out the other stuff they've done. We might like it. So that's today's producer talk. As we continue on, I'm going to try to be better about noticing and pointing out to you guys when we run into repeat offenders that we should be familiar with and keeping track of. A couple of caveats to that. First of all, I'm going to be paying the most attention to the primary writer producer credits. K-pop and pop music in general is a hugely collaborative process. There are a ton of co-writer, co-producer credits in a lot of these songs. And until I'm pulling down a full-time salary as a K-pop industry insider, ain't nobody got time for that. I'm not going to be able to learn and keep track of all these people. Related to that, I'm far more likely to notice and then remember the names if people are using goofy, made up producer names. I'm sure Sam Lewis is a great guy. I like some of his work. There's nothing wrong with his name. It's a good cowboy name in particular. But if he wanted a knucklehead like me to remember his name, he should have picked a goofy producer name like Black Eyed Pilsung, Shinsadong Tiger, Galactica, Collapse Done, etc. Or alternatively, he could have built a big building and put his initials on it, like JYP. Or alternatively, he could whisper his initials at the beginning of the songs he's involved in, like JYP. I'm not sure how well it would work with SL. SL. It sounds a little parcel tonguey. I don't know. Maybe K-pop needs more parcel tongue in it. That could be a new thing in the fourth or fifth generation. So now we move on to the ranting portion of tonight's programming. Strap in. This might be a long, bumpy ride. I apologize for this. I'm of two minds. I don't want to make this a big thing, like with a capital T. However, I also don't feel like I would be giving you guys my honest reaction to TT if I did not bring this up. So TT is a great and fun song, and it's a great and fun video, but there's one short scene in the video that I really do not like. I find it jarring, and over time, I find it increasingly creepy. And that scene is the pirate Mina pistol stroking, fondling thing. Ugh. So I think the music video folks here were trying to be subtly provocative, and I think they failed badly on both fronts. First off, let me fully acknowledge that a lot of this might be coming from me and from my baggage coming from an over-sexualized Western American culture where people are always trying to either sell sex or sell something using sex. And so we see it everywhere. Maybe this did not read this way in Korea. I have no idea. I haven't ever looked into this to see if this is a thing. I've never run into it in the fandom, but as I say, I've never really dug into it because I don't like it. And there's plenty of K-pop stuff that I like to see. Why would I dig into the stuff that makes me sad? So why does this scene bug me so much? Primarily, I would say because it is so awkward, which leads to a bunch of other questions. I was not involved in the making of the music video. I don't know anyone who was. I could be barking up the wrong tree here. It's entirely possible that this gesture she's doing is not what I think it is. And it may even be an improv by Mina. And then, who knows? And I'm reading into it. That's possible. I don't think that's likely, though. If there's one thing we know about Mina, she's well known for being elegant and graceful. That's like her whole deal. So the fact that this gesture is so awkward and cringy leads me to ask a bunch of other follow-up questions. It leads me to seriously doubt that this is an improv on her part. And even if it were, I submit to you that it was on the shoulders of the director and or editor to not have it in the video. So why did they leave in like a cringy, awkward, maybe sexually suggestive scene? I don't know. We'd have to ask them. But best I can tell is they wanted the provocative scene and they either ignored or missed the cringiness of it. So setting aside the possibility that this was an improv gesture of Mina's own devising, which I don't think is very likely because of how awkward she's doing it, why is it there? Well, I think the music video folks wanted something a little spicy or provocative, and they let their better judgment get clouded by that, and they included this awkward scene. And the fact that it feels so awkward, to me, these are all my opinions. I mean, you can tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. To me, it says that Mina was not comfortable. And I could see two alternative reasons for this. She was being told to do something and she didn't understand why. So she did the thing she was told to do, but not understanding it, it came out awkward. Or the more troubling conclusion would be she knew what they were after and that they wanted something spicy, and she wasn't comfortable doing that, and that's why it comes across as awkward. Neither of those are great, but the second one is probably worse. So, what evidence do I have? Not a heck of a lot. I have how the scene makes me feel and how out of character it is for Twice overall and Mina in particular, and all the rest of the music videos that we have from the group and the members. So, where else can we find maybe some evidence to try and decide this one way or the other? Well, we can look at the rest of the music video and see if these music video directors, producers, editors, whatever, were trying to get away with similarly spicy things with the rest of the members. So right off the bat, I don't see anything similar with either Momo or Asana's scenes. They just seem to be doing their characters and whatever. So we can throw them aside right away. Next up, we can rule out Pinocchio Jonghyun. We're coming up on Halloween here in the States, and Halloween being what it is, and the internet being what it is, I have no doubt that if we type in sexy or naughty Pinocchio into our Google box, we will come up with all kinds of people who are willing to sell us that costume. I am not going to look for that because I don't particularly want to see that. So, I suppose it would be possible to play Pinocchio blue, but in this case, the music video folks and or Jonghyun just went straight down the line and gave us a normal Pinocchio. And as an aside, let me just say, similar to Jonghyun's bear claw thing in like Ooh Ah, her Pinocchio in TT is something that over time I continue to look forward to more and more. Anytime I go back and rewatch that video, I just enjoy it tremendously. This is not a girl crush role. This is not an Eggyo role. This is outside of the wheelhouse of traditional idling. And yet she knocks it out of the park. She goes like full method Pinocchio. She's doing some mime work. She throws in the robot. We're like, it's transcendent. She does a great job. So moving on from Jonghyun and her masterclass in Pinocchio, we have the Magne line, which at the time, I'm pretty sure all three of those members would have still been underage. So you would hope that the music video folks would be even more careful with what they have them doing. I don't see anything problematic with Chewy's actions or whatever. I mean, her whole Morticia vampire deal, her whole outfit is a much more grown-up Chewy than we would have seen up to that point. But they don't have her doing anything shady or compromising. For Mermaid Chaeyoung, she does like a little hip slap spank thing, which is maybe a little flirty, but is not the end of the world. And regardless, she seems totally comfortable with it as opposed to the Mina thing. So you can't tell if it's something she improv'd or was directed to do. In either case, she seems fine with it, and it's not really even that spicy. So no big problem there. Although, again, maybe some evidence that they were trying to have a couple of little spicy moments here and there. For Taehyun, the rabbit has a carrot. Carrots are traditionally associated with rabbits, although I have rabbits in my backyard and, friends and family have thrown them baby carrots and they've never been interested. They're much more into just fresh grass, and maybe sometimes something with some moisture in it, like sliced cucumbers or whatever. But that's besides the point. A carrot is long and pointy, so if you want to get up to some shenanigans with a carrot, you probably could. However, in this case, Taehyun bites the tip off of it and then laughs kind of maniacally or smiles like a crazy person because she crazy. So if you were looking for something salacious there, you're more likely to be alarmed than aroused. So that's the non-problematic 2/3 of J line. That's the Maknae line and Pinocchio uh, that we've covered. That leaves us with Nayeon and Jihyo. Devil Nayeon has a thing similar to Chaeyoung, where she gives us this, gur rar with kitty claws or whatever. And it's, flirty, I guess. It's easily as comedic as it is flirty. So again, we have this thing where you can't tell if it was an improv by the member or if it was directed by the MV staff because they seem perfectly comfortable with it. Even if it was a direction by the staff, like she owns it. She's a goof and a nut and kind of a ham in the best possible way. And she just gets right into it. And it ends up being more tongue-in-cheek caricature of pinup than something actually, spicy or edgy or whatever. Unfortunately, we now get to Jihyo. And believe me, that's a sentence I will probably never say again. Jihyo did not come to set that day with an ice cream cone in her back pocket. She did not improv and say, oh, hey, guys, I've got this with me. I could eat ice cream if that helps. In order to have someone eating ice cream on your music video set, you got to have the machine. You got to have it set up and running. You got to have a staff member there who not only knows how to run it, but knows how to run it competently enough to pull TV perfect spirals with the ice cream over and over again. Because, of course, as you're shooting and adjusting cameras or lights, these cones are starting to melt. So you got to swap them out with new ones. Now, granted, this is far from the most complicated thing that has ever been attempted in a K-pop video. I get it. But it's also not nothing, and it shows an intentionality. There was planning, equipment, staffing, time, and money involved in getting these 2 quick ice cream eating shots. So why is that? Now, I've never been fully convinced exactly what costume or character Geo is. You see a lot of Elsa guesses, which is totally understandable. I think older or more well-read viewers might say the Snow Queen, upon whom Elsa was based before she got all Disneyfied. I think there's a strong argument that could be made for the White Witch from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And certainly there are others maybe I haven't considered. Of those 3 that I have found most likely, I don't know of any intrinsic attachment that any of those characters have to soft serve ice cream, either in their character or plot line story-wise. So why is the ice cream there? Well, it seems pretty clear to me that the ice cream is there because the music video people wanted Jihyo to eat ice cream at us. And she is doing it at us. If you watch these 2 very quick scenes of her eating ice cream, she is staring right down the barrel of the lens and focusing very intently on us while she eats the ice cream, which is a little odd. When you're a normal human eating ice cream, you eat ice cream like a normal human being. Almost all of us have done it or seen someone else do it in real life. On top of that, we've seen the members do it, either in travel shows or variety shows or whatever. Then on the other end of the spectrum, you have someone eating ice cream as suggestively as possible for whatever reason. They may be in some kind of pornographic movie. I have no idea. Then in between those 2 extremes, you have this huge gray area of plausible deniability where maybe they're up to something, maybe they're not. Who's to say? And it's in the eye of the beholder. And that whole gray area is great. It's a great gray area. That's where innuendo and double entendre happen. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Humans have been doing that kind of stuff for a long, long time. So where does the Geo thing sit? I submit to you that she is not eating ice cream like a normal human being eats ice cream. And so again, in this case, I think the MV people were trying to do something sort of subtle, but also sort of naughty. And again, in this case, they kind of mostly succeed. Now, for me, I don't find it particularly believable if they were to say, "Oh, we didn't mean anything by it. Oh, what are you? Oh, you're just coming at this with a dirty mind or whatever." But that is an argument that someone could make and not necessarily get totally laughed out of whatever room they're in. Again, I don't buy it. But they at least succeeded in being in the gray zone, which they almost certainly did not for me with Pirate Mina's pistol. Because no normal person does whatever she's doing to a firearm unless they're trying to be provocative or suggestive in some way. Um, the only exception to that I can think of is if you are a serial killer or perhaps an aspiring mass casualty shooter and you have a really unhealthy emotional psychosexual relationship with your firearms. Then that's something you might do. But I don't think that that was the message that the music video people were trying to get across to us. So I think with most of the members throughout the video, they tried to sneak in these little spicy moments and not be too controversial and have plausible deniability, like, oh, they're just acting normally, nothing's going on. But they just failed so badly with the Mina scene. Like, what is she cleaning her weapon? Is she polishing her weapon? Where's the polishing cloth? Like, it just makes no sense. And I think they done her wrong, and I don't think they should have included it. To me, it raises all these questions, as I said, of, consent, power disparity, whatever. Like, so Mina, as she recently reminded us in an interview, is in the Maknae half of the group, despite the other group members' protests at that. Uh, this is a very junior K-pop group. They're 1 year at this point into their 7-year contract. This is a hierarchical industry in a hierarchical society. For K-pop idols, a lot of their job, a lot of the time, is showing up and just doing what people tell them to do. And, not that that's so different from the rest of the world. All over the world, people with money and power tell people with less or no money or power what to do. That doesn't necessarily mean that we have to burn down the whole system. You're just going to get other people in power who may or may not abuse that power. It does, however, mean that it's on the rest of us to keep an eye out and call it out when we see people in positions of power abusing that power, whether it's a legal violation or just a violation of the societal norms of all of our own individual societies and countries. So I think in this instance, whoever was in charge of fashioning that scene and then also including that scene, I think they failed to live up to the duty required of them in the positions of power that they were. Again, this is not the end of the world. We don't have to cancel K-pop or, hunt people down or whatever. But I think it is an opportunity for discussion and reflection. So that all is a part of my honest reaction to TT. If you're still here, congratulations. You're some kind of Toad Cola insider, I guess, for whatever that's worth. Feel free to leave in the comments how my rant has made you feel. If you agree with me and you think there's something there that shouldn't be there or was inappropriate, or if you disagree with me and you think I've gotten grumpy and oversensitive in my old age, that's certainly a possibility. I don't know that you're going to convince me that I'm wrong insofar as that scene makes me feel the way it makes me feel. And you're probably not going to convince me to have it make me feel a different way. So maybe don't leave a multi-paragraph screed down below. Whatever, if you do comment, keep it calm, keep it classy. We're all reasonable adults. This is the internet, which is known for respectful discourse. I think we can all agree. So having said all that, I'm going to do some deep breathing for a little while, and I'm probably going to go away and do some errands or housework or something. and I will eventually come back and rerun React to TT. When we get to that scene, which I do not like, I will probably give you guys a look who have stuck through all this, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Frankly, I'd rather be looking at you guys than seeing that scene again. And we'll just go from there. We will almost completely enjoy watching TT, except for that little bit. So look forward to that. I will see you over there. Thanks again. Please like and subscribe. Comment if you can be reasonable about it. And I'll see you in the next video.